So the word folk is it's so widely used. You know, I could describe a crackly archive recording of a singer captured in the 50s, you know, somewhere anonymous as folk music, and then Mumford and Sons is folk music, and Bob Dylan is folk music, and then something from, you know, Bulgaria, a big choir is folk music. So it's such a it's a word that I actually tend not to use myself unless I'm talking unless I can make clear that the term I think is quite contested. Um, I think it's usually used in a good way to kind of describe a music that is of the people and therefore can be co-owned. And I think that's a really good, it's a good description of what I mean by folk music. And I think that it's not always what is meant, if you see what I mean. So, you know, like singers like Laura Marling, who I love and I listen to a lot, her songs are hers. They are hers. And when you sing them, you're singing a Laura Marling song. And that's fine. But I wouldn't call it folk music because the singer can't fully own that song. Whereas the tunes and the songs that I sometimes inhabit that are traditional music, is sometimes another way of putting it, they're ownable, you know, so you can become the custodian of the song. And it's speaking about an experience that you can fully inhabit rather than someone's specific breakup or something like that. So I think that's one way of understanding what folk music is. But I'm also, I love kind of throwing into the air genre definitions because you can always find an exception and you can always find oh, but what about this? And I think that's fine. I think that's good. And if there's one thing I think that's also very true about folk music or traditional music is that it's always changing. It's always being adapted. It's always being made up, actually, which is also very important to remember. There's nothing unbreakable or like perfect about any version of a song or a tune in folk music. You know, if I pick up an old tune and I change a few notes, or I pick up an old song and I want to add a verse, I'm only doing what everybody else has already done with it, you know? And my version is also only one version of many. So there's a malleability and a shifting changeability that is also, I think, really part of the definition of this kind of music. It needs to be able to be taken apart and put back together again in the way that it always has been.